Alright, so I've had several people ask me how to pass a PMP exam. Do I have any tips on how to pass? So let's get started. Alright guys, so in today's video, what I'm going to do is just talk about how I passed the PMP exam on my very first try. So if you want to become a certified project manager, then this video is for you. Alright, so now before we dive into the strategies, let me give you a little bit of background. So I decided to pursue my PMP certification because at the time, honestly, I just wanted to take my project management career to the next level. So at that time, I was working in a corporate job which required me to manage projects. Now, even though my title wasn't project manager, my responsibilities still involved managing projects, or at least in some sort of way being involved with projects. So that's what allowed me to gain the experience. So one of the members of the executive team where I was working, they were also a certified project manager. So they offered to provide the training to myself and a few other individuals, which allowed us to qualify for the exam. So the next thing that I know, I'm in a weekly study group with 5 or 6 other people studying for the PMP exam. Now, before I get into the studying strategy, I just want to talk about the eligibility requirements to take the exam. PMI doesn't allow just anyone to take these exams. So in order to be eligible to take the PMP exam, you have to confirm that you have education, training, and on-the-job experience to qualify for the PMP exam. Here's what you need to be eligible to take the exam. If you have a 4-year college degree or university degree, then you have to have 36 months of experience leading projects within the past 8 years, and you have to have 35 hours of project management education or training, or the CAPM certification. If you have a high school diploma or a secondary school diploma, then you must have 60 months of experience leading projects within the past 8 years, and then 35 hours of project management education or training, or the CAPM certification. PMI also requires you to document your experience related to the past projects and trainings that you've taken. For example, they want you to list the projects that you've led, and within those projects, they want to know where you worked, your role and responsibilities, and then how long each of those projects took. Now, when it comes to the trainings that you've completed, they want to know the institutions that you've attended, they want to know the courses that you've completed, and then anything related to those qualifying hours. So yeah, PMI doesn't play when it comes to even being eligible to sit for this exam. Okay, so now that I've gotten that out of the way, let's talk about how I prepared for the exam. After I completed the project management training courses is when I really put my head down and started studying religiously. I studied for about 3 months before I actually sat to take the exam. And so what I did was I created a structured study plan that included the following elements. So the first thing that I used was just the project management body of knowledge, or known as the PMBOK guide, which is the foundation of project management. And then I also just used other tools and resources that are found online, just on YouTube or any other places where I could find free information. Now let's talk about studying strategies. I divided my study time into manageable chunks that focus on mastering each knowledge area one by one. Also too, what works for me are flashcards. So I created flashcards, fact sheets, and then I would quiz myself throughout the day on the key terms and the formulas, because that's how I can embed those different terms and formulas into my brain. So these types of memory aids were a game changer for me, and maybe for you too. And then I also made sure not to study more than 1 hour at a time. My brain can only take in so much information at once, so I just didn't want to overdo it when it came to studying. So I recommend setting a timer, taking breaks, just to stay fresh and focused when you're studying. The second thing that I did when it came to studying was I used practice exams. I truly believe that practice exams are a huge reason as to why I passed on my very first try. So I recommend taking as many practice exams as possible. This not only helps you get familiar with the exam format, but it also helps you to figure out if you're making progress in your studying, or if you're even retaining the information. So if you're studying for the PMP exam, then I highly recommend getting this PMP exam prep book. So this was the book that I used when I was studying for the exam. It's filled with practice exams, but not only the practice exams, it also has explanations behind the answers, just in case you get something wrong. You can go back and read the thought process behind why your answer was wrong and why the correct answer is what it is. So I really found this book very helpful. But what I did was, once my average scores on practice exams was above the required score to pass the exam, that's when I knew that I was ready to take the real exam. I'll put a link to this book down in the comments below. This is the older version. I do believe they have the newer version, the 11th edition, so I'll make sure to put that down below. Now let's fast forward and let's talk about the big day, which is the PMP exam day. Before the exam, I used relaxation techniques just to stay calm. And then I also just made sure that I arrived well prepared to take the exam. So any documentation or anything like that that they asked me to bring, I just make sure that I had that ready and that I wouldn't forget it. Now, before I answered the first question, I did a complete brain dump on the piece of paper that they gave me. I wrote down all of the key formulas that I had memorized so that I could use it as a reference later when I was taking the exam. Now, during the exam, I did use my time wisely, answered the questions that I knew, and then made sure that I went back to the ones that I didn't know right away. And they allow you to mark a question that you don't know, and you can come back to it later. Never spend too much time on one question. If you don't know the answer right away, or you get stuck on two different answers, just mark it and come back to it later. If you spend too much time in the beginning on questions, you'll find yourself rushing through the rest of the exam. So just remember to stay calm and confident. So here are my key takeaways for success. 1, study consistently and with a structured plan. 2, use study notes, create flashcards, anything like that. 3, take practice exams. 4, make sure that you take your time when you're answering your questions, mark questions that you don't know, and come back to them later. And then last but not least, just stay confident and be calm. I know that there's a lot of pressure to pass, and it takes a lot of time and preparation, but if you just stay calm as much as you can, this will help you a lot. I hope that this was helpful for anyone who's preparing to take the exam or wanting to become certified project managers. If you have questions or just want to share your own PMP journey, please feel free to leave a comment down below. I love to hear other people's feedback and their stories. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.